Have you ever wondered how the German territory had changed from this to this to this? Did you actually know that Germany lost much more territory after the Second World War than it did after the First World War? Did you know that there have been recent talks about the return of former German territories to Germany? For that, I advise you to watch the video till the end, because in this video we're going to discuss the territorial change of Germany during the 20th century. Hey, welcome. If this is your first time on the channel, my name is Stefan. I'm a history teacher hustling history for you. The only thing you have to do is make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to join the hustle. Let's start. Now, Germany was a fair latecomer when it came down to nation building. The German states got united as late as 1871. Before that, it were just separate states. Unification was done by an ambitious politician named Otto von Bismarck, and he managed to unite the German states after wars with Denmark, Austria and France. And in 1871 he proclaimed the Second German Empire, referring to the Holy Roman Empire as the first one. Also, when it came down to colony business, Germany was a fair latecomer. Germany was lagging behind on the empires of France and Great Britain. To compensate for that, there was the Conference of Berlin, where European government leaders came together to discuss how to carve up the African continent. And Germany got its fair share of colonies. Germany owned territories that are today countries of Togo, Tanzania, Namibia, Rwanda and Burundi. They even got colonies in Oceania, for example the northern part of what is now Papua New Guinea and also some Samoan Islands. And did you also know that the Germans owned a coastal place in China called Tsingtao? I visited that place in 2016. It's very interesting to see German buildings in a somewhat German city in China. Now, Bismarck, he functioned as a Vice Chancellor. The absolute power was in the hands of the monarch, the emperor, also known as the Kaiser, Wilhelm I. Now, when he died, he was succeeded by Frederick III, but he died only 99 days later to be succeeded by William II. Now, this was another guy, to say the least, because he pushed Bismarck aside and went his own way. See, Bismarck always applied some kind of realpolitik where he wanted to maintain the balance of power, but Wilhelm II, he applied Weltpolitik. He wanted to make of Germany a global power with a colonial empire, a strong navy and army. And so he did. Germany mangled violently in foreign affairs. They helped suppressing the Boxer Rebellion in the beginning of the 20th century. In China, also, they committed the first genocide of the 20th century on the Herero tribe in what is now Namibia. And then, 1914, the German army overrun Belgium, and the First World War had begun. The war transformed into a dreaded stalemate with trench warfare. Flash forward to 1918, Germany lost the First World War. A revolution forced the German emperor to abdicate, and he fled to the Netherlands, where he lived till 1942. And the German Empire was no more. It was replaced by the democratic Weimar Republic. The politicians of the Weimar Republic, they signed the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. It was a peace treaty to conclude the First World War. And Germany had to hand in a lot of territory. Let's take a look at the map. On the west, Germany lost Eupen Malmedy to Belgium and Alsace-Lorraine to France. The Saar area came under the administration of the League of Nations, an international organization that was established to prevent future conflict. We all know how that turned out. In the north, the northern part of Schleswig was back to Denmark after a referendum in 1920. This idea dated back from the Danish-Prussian War, 1864, where Prussia took Schleswig-Holstein off Denmark. Not to mention the fact that Denmark was neutral during the First World War. And hey, they still got some territories. Go Denmark, I should say. On the east, Germany lost territories to the newly created Second Polish Republic, which was also granted access to the sea, known as the Polish Corridor. This was right next to Danzig, used to be a German city, now came under the administration of the League of Nations. Now this here made East Prussia an exclave of Germany. The Prussian provinces Posen and West Prussia were given to Poland. The eastern part of Upper Silesia went to Poland, and in 1923 MacLeod went to Lithuania. Now, there are some more smaller territorial changes, but this is just all you need to know for now. And don't forget that Germany lost all its colonies. In 1933, Adolf Hitler became absolute ruler of Germany, and he vowed to undo the Treaty of Versailles and restore the German Empire. And so he did. In 1935, the Saarland came back to Germany. In 1938, there was the Anschluss, where Austria and Germany became one. In the same year, the Sudetenland was also given to Germany because of its high concentration of German-speaking people. The remaining Czech part became a German puppet state called the Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia after the subsequent invasion of 1939. Slovakia became a puppet state named the Slovak Republic, September 1939. According to the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact signed between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, Nazi Germany invaded Poland from the west, and the Soviets did so from the east. They carved up what was known as the Second Polish Republic, and therefore Poland was no more. Let's take a look at what Germany got out of this. Polish territories, Western Prussia, Posen, and Upper Silesia became part of the German Reich. Eastern Prussia was extended to the south. The rest of Poland became the so-called general government, where Poles and Jews were expelled to from the newly acquired German territories of Poland. Now, I'm not going to discuss all the territories that Nazi Germany conquered and occupied after 1940 in Western Europe and after 1941 in Eastern Europe, so let's skip forward to 1945. Nazi Germany is defeated. Now, my grandma, she once said that her father, after the Second World War, said they should carve up Germany once and for all, because that's what they deserved. And that's basically what happened. Germany got carved up by the Allies. The eastern part became under the administration of the Soviets. The western part, there was a French zone, a British zone, and an American zone. The capital of Berlin, which was located in the eastern zone, was also carved up by the four Allied powers. Now, speaking of the eastern part, that is basically what Germany somewhat lost. And I'm not talking about current Eastern Germany. No, let's take a look at what happened here. Poland got Pomerania and Silesia. The German eastern borders would be at the Oder-Neisse line, although an exception was made in the north. The German city of Stettin would become Szczecin, Breslau would become Wrocław, and Königsberg, located in eastern Prussia, would become Kaliningrad. Former German exclave Eastern Prussia was carved up by the Russians and the Polish. The northern part is till this day a Russian exclave. The southern part of Eastern Prussia became Polish. Now, you might think, oh wow, the Poles got a lot out of this. But the former parts of Eastern Poland were annexed by the Soviet Union. By the way, did you know there were also plans of Belgium and the Netherlands to annex large territories of the west side of Germany? These plans were never carried out, although there was a very small, tiny exception that the Netherlands just got one village, which they returned in the 60s. Now note here that the German people that were living in these eastern territories that were now either annexed by Poland or the Soviet Union were violently expelled. Here you see a picture of the concentration of German-speaking people before and after the war. Until this day, there exists a so-called Federation of Ex-Police, an organization that looks after the interests of those who got expelled from the former German territories. But this here was the price of reunification, because when the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, many people feared a reunited Germany. German Chancellor Helmut Kohl renounced all German claims east of the Oder-Neisse line in order to get a reunified Germany. Now, the eastern part already recognized his borders, but the western part that basically took over the whole of Germany after the wall fell did not, and they had to do that now. In 1991, the Kaliningrad Oblast now became an exclave separated from Russia and the now independent Lithuania. Now, rumor has it that there were talks between the German and the Russian government about an eventually return of Kaliningrad to Germany, but it wouldn't make much sense. All German buildings were destroyed in the war, all German citizens were killed or expelled, so it's basically Russia offering a poor piece of land with Soviet apartment building blocks and no speaking German people in it. So Germany is like, no thanks. And the only people that are interested in it are those who have been expelled. But as the saying goes, time heals all wounds. And there comes a time when these people will no longer be with us. When I asked Germans today what did they think of the fact that they were stripped of so much territory after the Second World War, many are kind of indifferent about it. They're like, oh well, we got reunited and the war is over, let's look to the future. Speaking of which, I would love to travel to Kaliningrad one day to see what it's like. Have you ever been to Kaliningrad? Leave a comment down below. I'm really curious how you experienced that. Speaking of another former German territory, if you want to know more about how Germany exactly lost their Chinese coastal place of Tsingtao, you can click right here to check out that video. Do not forget to subscribe, and please check me out on Patreon as well, because with your donations I can make better and more awesome content for you. See you next time.